Now we're going to continue on with text formatting. I'm going to show changing colors, adding some paragraph space after, and other settings for text. So I'm on my postcard begin document, and I don't need these guides anymore, so I will click once to highlight this guide. When it's highlighted, it'll be more blue than cyan, and I'll just press delete or backspace. Click again on this next one, delete or backspace. And I'll double click to get inside the text box. I want to make this line that says Anais Nin a different font. So I can drag to highlight, and it's always safer when you drag to highlight text to start inside the box somewhere. If you try to start at the beginning or the left edge, you may accidentally build a second text box. So I'll undo that, and an even safer way to select an entire line is triple click. 2 clicks always highlights a word. 3 clicks always highlights a line. And I'm going to make this Myriad Pro. So I'll type MYR for Myriad Pro. You can also click the arrows here to choose Myriad Pro, or go to your type menu, Font, and go down to Myriad Pro. But I have a lot of fonts on my system, so I find this the bestest method. I don't love all caps or small caps, so I'm going to turn that off. And I want a little white space between the quote and her name. In fact, I don't love the font that I've selected here, so I'm going to highlight starting after the period and dragging straight up. That will highlight both lines. And I'm going to change the font to Minion Pro. And because of my long list again, I'll just click in front of the P in Prestige Elite and type MIN for Minion Pro. I can click below and choose Italic. And there we go. I like italicized text for quotes. And now I'll select all, edit, select all, or Command A on the Mac, Control A on Windows, and I'll increase the type size till it fills most of my box. In doing that, I also want to increase the leading. And a little fun fact, we call this italic type because it was created in Italy. It was actually known early on as Venetian type, Venice, Italy, and it was a way to do compact pamphlets in the early days of printing. Italic is more compact. That's why I can use a much larger size than 9, and it will fill the box better. But I'm only going to look at the line spacing or leading between these first 2 lines, and I'm going to click once after the word R. Depending on your screen resolution, the control panel has 2 sections, the character formatting controls, and if I click this paragraph symbol, the paragraph formatting controls, where I could see alignment, left indent, and right indent. But notice, past these 2 gray lines, I now have font, style, size, and leading. If my resolution were higher, if I was operating with something like 1600 by 1200 for the width and height of my screen for the display settings, then I would fit a lot more character stuff here. If I go back to the character section, along the right, past these 2 lines, I see the beginning of the paragraph formatting stuff. So alignment, left indent, first line indent, right indent, and last line right indent. But the setting I want isn't showing up on my screen because my resolution is too low. So I'll go back to the paragraph formatting controls, and I want to locate space after. In fact, here in paragraph formatting controls, you'll also find a bulleted list and a numbered list, and even multiple columns. I could split this 1-column text box that's on the right side of this page into 2, but I'll go back down to 1. Space after is a high-end typography feature. I'm a big fan of Robin Williams books. Robin Williams, the female author, not the male actor/comedian, but she has golden rules for typography. One of her rules is never press Return or Enter twice in a row because that may cause, in long documents, a blank line at the beginning of a page or column. If you use the higher end space after instead, and I simply hit the up arrow, this gives me a mathematic amount of white space between selected lines or between paragraphs. So I use this heavily in styles, and believe it or not, Microsoft Word even has this feature, but a lot of people haven't discovered it because they aren't coming from a typography or high-end design background when they're Word users. They're more Office users who are used to treating their computer a little bit like a typewriter. In fact, that's the name of another of her books. Your Mac is not a typewriter and your PC is not a typewriter. And on a typewriter, we had to press the carriage return twice to get white space. But on a computer, we do not, so I use space after. And I'm going to highlight Anais Nin and make this a lighter gray so it's more subtle. I'll go to swatches on the right, and you may notice I've switched from the Essentials workspace to the typography. That's the one I prefer to work in. On the color black, I'm going to change my tint to about 50%. You can also type in 50 there. But if I click away inside the text box, that looks a little light, so I will triple click or click and drag to highlight it, and I'll make this 75% and hit return or enter. And I'll click the word swatches again to get it away. And now I'm going to position this on my postcard better. So I can reduce the height of this box so it fits about what I have now. And I want this quote roughly centered. In fact, this pink guide that shows up as you move it indicates it's perfectly centered in this column. And I'll click away to deselect, and that has been more text formatting, changing your font, changing your color, applying space after, and seeing a little breakdown between the paragraph section of the control panel and the character section of the control panel. So take some time to explore the control panel options in InDesign for yourself.